So this is a project that we are starting to build, and Shonda behind me, I'm going to introduce everyone to my peer. I told you all that my peer from the office, Shonda, is going to be joining us, and she's back here. Shonda, when people start giving me input, because I'm actually presenting, my brain is going to be on this, if you can just take notes. But I know we'll capture it, and maybe we'll put the mics around. So let me just show you. This is a talk that we give, and this is actually a slide that we share with our new employees when we onboard them. The Office of Patient Experience hears from our patients every day, and we hear from them through anecdotal comments that our providers are telling us. We also hear from our patients when they complain or they compliment us at Mayo Clinic, and we also hear from them through the satisfaction survey. PFACs are another way that we hear from them, and that's why we're here today, to engage with you on this idea. Some of the research that we've done on what our patients are telling us is they like services located in multiple locations for convenience. Patients want to receive information when it's convenient to them. Communication and navigation are issues for patients and staff. Patients need time to process information. And patients would prefer a navigator or an advocate to help them receive information from Mayo. So this is information that we're getting when we're doing research with patients. So this project, Connected Patient Amenities, is going to create a connected network of spaces across campus. That's the vision. Providing patients and guests a way to connect to Mayo Clinic when and how they need to connect. So we're thinking of piloting a space, and we're in Judd Auditorium right now. So the space that we're looking at is that little orange square, and that's really right across from the pharmacy. So it's in between the pharmacy and the cafeteria. It's where the Falcon display is. And currently it's just a space where people sit. And we feel we might be able to optimize that by creating a space that patients can engage with. So our question that we want to bring to patients is, how do you feel you need to connect to Mayo Clinic? And I know technology sometimes is a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing, but if technology were available in lobby spaces, what types of technologies or amenities are you looking for? For instance, I'm going to throw out the patient portal that's online. One of the things that when we early brainstormed, we thought, well, if we had kiosks over there or iPads and patients can log on to their patient portal, that might be something that they like. But then we also know we need to protect that because you don't want to get into your portal where other people can see you. So we need to know from patients things like that. Also, if any of you have flown recently out of Minneapolis, Minneapolis Airport has some areas that are places where customers can just drop down and get online for free. Would something like that be valuable to patients in such a public space? Let me go through the talk, and then this is slide 6, so I'm going to remember to come back. Okay, see, I got ahead of myself. So some of the amenities we talked about are concierge information. So imagine you go to a hotel and you ask the hotel, so we've got some downtime in between appointments and I need to eat gluten-free. Is there a restaurant I can walk to? So imagine that kind of concierge service information. Do you need directions or wayfinding? Patient education activities? Any sponsored events? And if so, what would they be? Before you all arrived, we were actually brainstorming on this cool space because, ironically, this used to be the place where our providers probably 20 years ago would meet to convene and have all-staff meetings, and now it's too small. So it's largely going unused during the day. What if we turn this into a movie theater for patients to come and watch movies in between appointments? So that's the kind of brainstorming that we're looking for, and this is just a list to get the juices flowing, to get you thinking about what you might want. And right now, we're compiling that information. The goal is we're going to create a pilot space in the next year. So in 2016, this space is going to be created, and you all are going to help inform it, and we'll keep coming back. When we have a vision, we'll show it to you at a meeting, and a timeline. And we're also going to be measuring the success of the pilot. So there'll be things that we'll be tracking, like usage, comments. We do know we're going to have right now this space, let me go back to this space. Come on, go back. I believe this space right here has actually a volunteer sitting in it, and we want to keep that person present because we don't want to be all 100% technology. But I think this list is a really good list to keep up. Tell me what you think. What would you utilize in such a public space? Go ahead. I'll bring the mic to you so we catch it.
So my first thought is that I'm a mother, and so I represent the newborn ICU, and so when I bring my kids here for their appointments, there's nothing for my kids to do around here. The nearest playground is over at Soldier's Field, so I picture like something at the mall, like a little playground.
A little play area?
Like something like that. I don't think it would fit in there with all of that stuff, but anywhere on the campus would be a great place where I'm sure a lot of families would go and stop during their breaks.
Great feedback. So an area for children and for families to go to with small children. And Shonda, we've got some more here.
The area you're talking about is a great place for parents or patients to sit while they're waiting for the prescriptions or they're just tired. And it's a general area between the elevators, and so where would the patients go? And also, are you going to have a place to plug in devices? I don't see that on your list. And I've been here as a patient, obviously, and there are times I'm looking everywhere for somewhere to plug in my device because I want to look where my next appointment is on my cell phone.
Right.
And I can't get to it because all of a sudden it's, I need to plug it in.
So charging stations is definitely something we need to add on the list. But let me probe your first part. So you're asking, are we displacing some patients by creating this space? So keeping the seating there because of the location right outside the pharmacy is a good thing as well. We can try to do both. I think
there's a lot of people that would just sit there, they look exhausted, they're waiting for their next appointment, because there's not that much sitting. When you're a patient here, and you're done with appointments, you got an hour or two, but you can't go back to your motel, you can't drive home, you're just looking for a place to sit. And so you really need more places for the patient to be able to just sit. If they want to sleep, just sit their eyes back and think about what happened to them today, or if they just want to read a book or whatever, patients need more space like that.
That's beautiful to hear. I'm going to also bounce off of you because I think you're onto something here. Did you know we have a quiet room in the subway? Like a quiet room that's specifically a place for patients to go and sit for quiet. Because I think that's important. Your point that a lot of patients need a place for respite and reprieve in such a public space might not be the right place. But knowing how to find these other spaces is important.
Yeah. I worked here and I've been a patient here for over 40 years and I never knew that, so it's not publicized somehow.
I think the volunteers know about it and they direct patients there, but we really don't have like a manual that helps patients find secret spots to go hang out.
I think a lot of people just go on to their next appointment and sit and sleep on that floor.
Can you repeat that in the mic so we catch it?
I think a lot of people that are tired and stuff, they just go to their next appointment and lay down on the couch up
where they're gonna be.
where their waiting room, do you
Yeah,
think it's
we've seen that
because
a
there's
lot.
no other place to go?
Yeah, you see that.
Yeah, yeah.
But as long as you're talking about the quiet room, you have that little map that shows all the floors. I don't know if it's shown on that or not, but it sure should be.
It should be.
It's a lot of room for, that's that.
There's only the one, right? It's over here.
Repeat again what you
Is there the only one quiet room?
Yes, yes.
There's also the Center for the Spirit, kind of similar.
Can you get on the mic so we catch what you're saying? Thank you.
There's also the Center for the Spirit, or whatever, is that what it's called? It's kind of the same thing, but it's more for like meditation, and that was on your map.
That is on the map, you're right. And that is a religious space. It's kind of a non-denominational or all-encompassing. But it is different than a place where you can go read a book or just think.
Just coming back to her point, having the kids area.
Yes.
In the DMC part, do we have something provision for it or not yet? Because there's a lot of movement, and I think
There's a lot
should
of
be
momentum with DMC, and I can tell you the research that DMC has done, that idea did come out. So you're bringing up something that we've heard from patients, and it just validates it even more. I mean, every time we ask patients that, what do we need? We hear things like this, that we need a playground. But specifically right now, all we've been granted is this little rectangle, and the charging stations has definitely come up. So that I think is very high on our list. And if this pilot is successful, then this pilot will grow to other locations.
And it's echoing her point that removing existing sitting area or decreasing it, it's going to defeat the purpose.
We need to recreate it if we take it away.
And she has been 40 years, I've been just 10 years, I've never heard of that quiet room. So I think advertising wise, we have to do it better or having those maps.
Okay.
We've talked about maps a couple times, and I'm wondering, by show of hands, how many have used Google Maps? Have you used the little guy that you can drop on the street and go up and down the street and see the houses?
Yeah.
I know this is a long ways out, but when I come and go from my office, I see a lot of people standing looking around, like, and I ask them, can I help you find this? Because I've been here 6 months, you guys. So I'm a newbie to Mayo Clinic. Yeah, and I can tell you that I know where they're going, but I tell them I want to go with you so I know where I can find it. And so that eases that conversation. But I just think it would be very nice, and I know it's probably a long ways out, but if we had a Google Maps kind of app that they could watch as they're walking by this door or that office on their iPhone and say, yeah, I am in the right spot. I want to go to Charlton 9, desk A. And it shows them
The path.
and what they're looking at when they're walking down that hallway or up hallway. I think that would help a lot. I mean, the technology's there. I just know that we're probably a long ways from going around videotaping our halls.
We're not that far away. But I'm really glad that you brought it up. And I should introduce you to Mark Henderson, who was supposed to be here tonight. Mark. But I know he's working on a project like this through IT. But you're absolutely right. It takes a long time because that kind of wayfinding requires a lot of wireless interconnectivity in the subway. And we didn't build it in when we built these buildings, so there's been a lot of going in to put these things in. But it is on the radar, and it's something we're working on towards.
That would be so beneficial.
I just don't think it'll happen in a year, but maybe
Yeah.
if Mark was here, he might surprise me. Let's go back to the picture of this space. Any other comments about things that you yourself have hoped and wished that you had? The charging stations is one. Do any of you use those kiosk maps that are up in the skyways and subways? Have you ever tried those kiosks that are on the walls? I'm looking at them. No.
You mentioned portal.
Yes.
My wife is on there all the time,
Patient online services.
And,
Yes.
so I don't have to be. Uh,
I do that for my.
But I think that if every patient knew how to do that, they'd be a lot better off. So if you were gonna have some monitors sitting in there, so you could, I mean, physical monitors, not people, you could take and have to have, I shouldn't say take, you would need to have really good instructions so these people could figure out how to get in there and create their password and everything. Because we just had a patient here, a friend of ours, and we told her, you ought to be getting on Portal. So she took the slip, went back to Arkansas. So I hope she's on it down there. And I said, find out what the doctors are saying about you.
Mhm.
And so I think it's one of the best things around for a patient. But if you're gonna have that and say, you can use it for Portal, well, you better tell them exactly what to do, because these are all new people.
Sure. And I'm going to build on what you're saying just now too. Maybe even some educational classes to offer to patients to help them learn how to use the portal, because sometimes just the paper flyer isn't enough. Okay.
There's a technology office on the subway thing, and I've only been in there a couple of times.
Speak up, because we're recording.
I'm not sure that people who are in there know, I don't know how much they know about the computers and things like that, and if the printers are working. One other thing I noticed is there's no place that I've been able to find in Mayo Clinic where you can make a photocopy. And sometimes you want to make a photocopy of some report or something, and then you have to wait until you can go someplace to make a copy. It'd be so convenient to do it here.
Sure, sure.
But if they would have people who could help you in the technology area, that would be a start.
So people who actually can help you, not just people watching the room, but people who have knowledge to teach you and
So
help you.
if a printer jams or something doesn't print out right, because a lot of times I found some websites don't let you really print. Some of the headline part might be there, but you get a blank sheet.
Right. Really good points. Thank you.
And I know that in our office, we often refer people to that technology room. So maybe you revisiting how the technology room is being used before computers go into the
Great point.
the rectangle space.
Even if we did some observations in that technology room to see
Doing
how
that,
other patients.
duplicating it and when it's already exists.
Right. And wouldn't it, is there not copy machines in the technology room or printers?
I've never been able to see it.
We should check on that
There are
too.
printers, but I don't know that there's photocopy.
Okay.
And again, where is the technology?
It's on that secret map. I'm making it up. That's what we need.
We need to.
What about signage? I mean, that's such a simple solution. Where the piano thing is in the atrium, there's an information desk there. I'm sure they're asked, where's the quiet room and where's the technology room?
And right now, when I think about the signs in the subway, they're really signs pointing you to buildings.
Yeah.
They're not pointing you to rooms. Really good point. See, we live here, we don't see it. We need to hear from you.
What about that area in the, where the newspaper place used to be? I think that's now being used as kind of a place where people can eat lunch. Or
Newspaper
sandwiches.
place.
The gift shop? The gift shop.
Okay.
Gift store.
The Mayo gift store.
Used to be newspapers there.
Oh, sure, and there's not newspapers there anymore? Maybe not? What is there now? Tables.
So if you buy something in the coffee shop and you get the gift shop, you can sit down.
Okay.
I think the magazines that they have now are like Rochester Visitor,
Sure.
and anything that's like free.
Sure.
The Rochester magazines maybe. I haven't been.
But
in
it's
for
not
long
like a
time.
newsstand where you can buy things. And now with Barnes and Noble gone, there's really a void downtown. Yeah. I don't know if we can squeeze all that in this little space, but we're gonna capture all this.
I think those are great points.
They really are.
Supply.